Welcome to the Trinity Student Ministry Podcast. My name's Ty Combs.
And I am Andy Ramirezma. We lead student ministry at a Trinity Church in Indianapolis, Indiana.
This is an ongoing conversation for all middle school and high school students about God and culture.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at TC_studentmen for daily updates and information.
What's up, everybody? It is Ty here with my good friend Jeremy.
Hey, what's up?
Jeremy has been part of TSM for a few years now, and he's one of our favorites. Jeremy, what'd you do today?
Woke up and went to work, then came straight from work to here, so.
Nice. And you work with kids, right?
I do.
So are you, exhausted?
I am very tired, yes.
Yeah, I can imagine wrangling kids all day. All right, so we did this last week with Zoe. I'm going to ask you some of these same either-ors, all right? So I'm going to give you two options. You got to pick which one. And if I disagree, I'm going to make you defend it, all right?
Okay.
So first one up, Pop-Tarts or cereal?
Pop-Tarts.
Okay. What's your favorite Pop-Tart?
Blueberry.
Oh, a fruity one.
Yeah.
Okay. Mine's the chocolate fudge. And I have a theory that I'm just now experiencing this, that Cliff Bars, you like Cliff Bars?
I love Cliff Bars.
Cliff Bars are like Pop-Tarts that are acceptable for adults. Because now when I go, used to in high school and college, people would just bring Pop-Tarts to class to eat. But now when you go to work and you go to meetings, people have Cliff Bars, but they have the blueberry crisp flavor, which is just an adult version of a blueberry Pop-Tart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, I think I've made the transition to Cliff Bars. All right. Book or movie?
Movie.
Oh, you didn't hesitate for that one?
Yeah, no.
Okay. This one might be tougher. Movie or TV show? So what I mean is if you have 2 hours just of time, are you going to watch a 2-hour movie or are you going to watch 4 episodes of a TV show?
I can appreciate movies, but TV shows, I feel like if I'm going to watch a movie or TV show, I just kind of want to turn my mind off and just relax. So TV show for sure.
Gotcha. I like it. Beach or mountains?
Mountains.
Really? Man, I thought that one, when I wrote that one, I was like, oh, everybody's going to say beach.
Oh, I hate sand.
Also, you spend some time in Texas, or are you just over how hot it is? Or is that not
I'm normally in Texas for the cooler seasons.
Smart.
But
nice. Okay, here we go. Burger or salad?
Burger.
Five Guys?
Yeah,
You
I
guys
like Five Guys.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Okay, we got last week, I don't know if you heard it, but Zoe and I ended up just bashing cats for way too long. So we need to move on before I do that again.
Yeah, that's my favorite part.
All right. Chick-fil-A or Popeyes?
Chick-fil-A. I really like Popeyes, but
I respect that. Jeremy and I, before quarantine, we went to Chick-fil-A once a week. So I thought that would be just a no-brainer, but I respect that. All right. Last one was really specific for Zoe. I'll ask you anyway. Chacos or Birkenstocks?
I didn't know there was a difference to last week's podcast, and I had to look it up.
All right. Okay, well, then I'll think of one for you. Indiana or Texas?
Oh, wow. That is...
You weren't prepared for that one?
I'd say Texas just because there's so much more diversity. There's cities and just desert.
And nothing.
And the beach. And nothing. So there's everything in Texas.
All right. I was trying to think of another one that would be specific to you, Lecrae or Leando.
Oh, Leando. That's my favorite rap duo.
All right. So, Jeremy, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Jeremy. I'm 18. I just graduated Fishers High School.
Well, wait, when is graduation?
Well, up until a week ago, it was going to be this Saturday, but they just canceled it.
Wait, seriously? I didn't even know that.
Yep. Well, they're having families move into the auditorium, walk, and then the family leaves the auditorium and a new family comes in.
So it's individual graduation?
Yes. I'm technically walking, but it's...
Weird. I had no idea.
Yeah, it's not exciting.
So by the time this airs, actually, this will come out Monday, you will have actually graduated.
I will have graduated,
okay.
Yes.
Formally, done.
Yep.
All right.
And went skydiving.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. You're going skydiving this weekend.
Yes, I am.
Oh, my gosh. I cannot wait to hear more about that. All right. Tell us a little bit more about yourself. So you're 18. You graduated from Fisher's.
I did.
You did. Now.
I am in the process of graduating. Longest process
By
of
the
graduation.
by the time people hear this, you have graduated.
Yes, I just graduated. It was amazing.
Okay.
Most fun time of my life.
Okay. All right. Anything else that we should know about Jeremy before we jump in?
I like music.
He likes music. Specifically Leando. Not Leondo.
Not Leondo. I found that out last week.
We cleared that up. For those of you who don't know who Leando is, just search it on Spotify. Leando. Andy's going to give me so much crap for this. Cool. All right. So now, Jeremy, can you describe for us your faith journey up to this point? The past 18 years of your life, your relationship with God. Just kind of take us on that journey.
Yeah. Well, my mom was a minister, and she had her own ministry. So
I didn't even know that.
Yep. So I was born here, lived here till 3rd grade, and always grew up in the Bible scene. I mean, I didn't have Wi-Fi or phones. I just grew up in
Bible scene.
Yeah,
Nice.
just had VeggieTales and all these
Yes.
Bible shows.
What was your favorite VeggieTales episode?
Can't put me on the spot. All the Larry Boys are iconic.
Oh, that was mine. In the Fib from Outer Space.
Yes,
that was
Larry
mine.
Boy from outer space. That is.
And that guy, he goes like up on the water tower with his plunger ears.
That is top tier.
All right. Sorry, go on. So you grew up, your mom was a minister up until 3rd grade. What happened in 3rd grade?
In 3rd grade, I moved to Texas.
Okay.
So my parents were divorced since I can remember. So my dad stayed in Indiana. Me, my mom, and brother moved to Texas.
Okay.
And we moved around a lot. And like the older I got, between 3rd grade and freshman year, pretty much I moved around every year, sometimes even every semester.
All right. So this whole time that you're moving around in Texas, was your mom still a minister?
Yes, she moved down to Texas for ministry reasons.
Okay. So then what kind of effect did that have on your relationship with Jesus, like when your mom's a minister?
Yeah, it was very routine. I would say relationship was not even in the picture. It was definitely went to church, had youth, no personal relationship at all. And I honestly don't even think I could grasp the concept of God in my life. I was so little.
Oh, you just kind of like knew the right things to say at the right time.
Yeah, pretty much.
But it was just like, yeah, it's something I gotta do. Like,
yeah,
go to church, go to kids' church, youth ministry, whatever.
Yep, pretty much.
Okay. So then, what changed? I guess was there a time that shifted, or did it become more real to you while you were in Texas before you moved here?
Well, we moved around a lot when I went to Houston. It was pretty much a new school every year or every semester. So that really opened up a lot of insecurities with me, because the older I got, I would plug into a friend group, then I'd immediately leave and then be faced with, oh no, now I have to go make new friends.
Oh yeah.
And so my self-esteem really just kind of plummeted.
Okay.
And then
especially in junior high, when you're like defined by the people around you.
Yeah. It was 8th grade was pretty hard, because I just finally made friends like the last few weeks of school. And then I knew for freshman year I'd be going to a different school.
Wow.
So it was difficult. But then over the summers, I'd go and visit my dad up here in Indiana. And I had a childhood friend that I knew since birth. And he actually invited me to Summer Crew. Crew is a organization with high schools and colleges. You could call it a youth group, similar aspect.
Yep.
So he invited me to Summer Crew, and that was normally for high schoolers, and the main attendees were upperclassmen, and I was an 8th grader going into freshman year. I don't think technically I was even supposed to go. I think it was freshman and on.
Calling Crew right now.
Yep, I know. I'm gonna get fired.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that later.
Okay.
Okay. So what was your experience like at Summer Crew?
It was so weird, because I never really realized how much that would affect me, because
you've been around it.
Yeah, I went around so many youth groups, everything. But when I went there, I had all these insecurities. I felt like whenever I walked into the room, everybody just hated me, which obviously was not true. I
Mhm.
hope. But it was right when I got there, people felt like they actually wanted me to be there,
Mhm.
and they actually connected with me and plugged into me and
Mhm.
just
Oh, that's
tried
huge.
to initiate conversation with me. And it was,
Even though they were way older than you.
yeah.
That's huge.
So it was definitely in a place where I could look up to them.
Mhm.
And that's the first time I can remember that I was conscious about myself. Like, I am here, I have
Mhm.
insecurities, but then also people being there for a positive influence and trying to
Mhm.
help me. And obviously they didn't know about any of this in the past. They just
Right. Yeah.
wanted me to be there because I
Yeah.
was just there.
Because they
And
thought you were important,
yeah,
worth
and it
worth
was
getting to know.
yeah, no, it was amazing.
Mhm.
And I do believe God was just using that to speak through my life. And I went home to Texas at the end of the summer,
Mhm.
and I actually just remember it so vividly. I walked up to my room and my little doggy was there, and
What
then
was your dog's name?
Coco.
Coco.
Yeah, she's a little Chihuahua.
You still have Coco?
I do, yes.
What's up, Coco?
Shout out Coco.
to Coco. All right, so you walked up. Coco was there.
Yep, I was just playing. Then I remember just looking at her, and I might have even audibly said it, but I was like, I just knew, like, that wasn't really where I needed to be. Texas wasn't really my
Oh.
home. It
Mhm.
was, I'd been to a church for 5 years now because we moved around this central location of Houston. I could keep
Uh-huh.
going to this church,
Uh-huh.
and not one adult had ever plugged in. It was a huge church. We had
Oh,
about
yeah.
100 kids per grade.
Wow.
So it was, I can't think of a single time someone older than me tried to plug in. I had a few friends there,
Right.
but
Right.
it
wasn't a life-changing experience.
wasn't, no. And just in that short summer of going to a weekly 2-hour meeting at Crew with kids 4 years older than me, it showed me so much more about what life
Yeah.
is and
Yeah. Community and
community.
what's important.
Yes.
Way to go, Crew. Way to go, Indiana.
Yep.
Awesome. So then you moved up here?
I did, yes. It was the summer between 8th and freshman year is when I went to summer Crew.
Mm-hmm.
And then through freshman year, after freshman year, I moved up to Texas. It was a
Mhm.
long process. I still made some friends freshman year. Weren't the best influence on me,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, they weren't awful.
Yeah, I got you.
But so yeah,
So then you've been in Indiana now for the past 3 years?
3 years. Yep. Moved up here summer between freshman and sophomore year.
All right. And that's when I met you.
That
You
is.
started coming to Trinity.
Yep.
So then we'll probably get into these past 3 years specifically in a little bit more detail here in a minute.
Yes.
So is it cool if we move on a little bit?
Oh, yes, please do.
All right. So now I have a question for you. What has been, you may have alluded to it now, you may have not. What has been the most dry time in your faith over the past 18 years? So you described some really just kind of stagnant time in your childhood and junior high, but now including in high school and stuff. When have you felt the most distant from God? Do you have any like seasons that you've gone through like that?
For sure. I would describe my years prior to freshman year
Mm-hmm.
as almost having no faith at all because
Mm-hmm.
there was nothing I needed to have faith in. It was just so routine. That was just the normal.
You had knowledge,
And-
but not faith.
Yes.
Cool.
So
Well, not cool, but
well,
cool that I understand.
yeah. So the driest time of my life was definitely around October through January of 2018, 2019. That 4-month period, just a lot of bad things happened. 2 of my closest friends had our relationship ended for various reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing super bad or dramatic happened.
Yeah, but you lose
Yeah.
some important friendships. That's important.
Yeah, and both of those people were the primary God in my life because they definitely had their priority set as God being the highest, and I wasn't at that phase yet.
Okay, so when you say they were your most prominent, like God influence, got it.
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure you didn't mean like
Oh,
your
they were-
relationship
yeah,
with them was.
I probably could not have phrased that in a worse way.
No, you're good.
But
No, I got you.
yeah,
They were Jesus to you.
yes,
Like the way that you saw God
They
the
were the
most.
people that kept me motivated
Got it.
and eyes on God.
Got it.
And our relationships ended,
Mhm.
and all my insecurities that I'd really been focusing on overcoming the past year and a half really just kind of came full force all at once. And I had one friend, my best friend at the time, and a lot of the time I would lash out my insecurities on him because like I was just so
Yeah.
jealous of him, because I'd look at him and be like, oh, you have a lot of friends. I wish I had a lot of friends. You were social. I wish I was super
Right.
social.
You're just trying to find cracks in his life
I was,
and
yes.
project your own insecurities onto him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of us can relate to that. I know I can, for sure. Seasons of my life where I've been like so envious of somebody that I've just been like wanting them to fail.
Yeah.
Almost. Even though they're my friend, it's like I want to be so close to you that I can see when you mess up and make sure that you know it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I mess up all the time.
Yeah, it was just like that. It was awful. I was so
Yeah.
jealous. I'd get super short-tempered with him, and just the lies from the devil that I was unwanted, unworthy,
Yeah.
worthless. Just they always were
and
bouncing around
nobody
my
cared
head.
about you. And
Yep.
yeah.
And I would just look at this person and project so much jealousy and just envy
Yeah.
over them that relationship eventually ended, which was definitely in hindsight for the best, just because of my mental state in that time.
It wasn't a healthy relationship.
It wasn't, no.
Gotcha. All right. So now is it cool if we move on to the flip side of that?
Yes.
Okay. So now my next question is, just the opposite of that. When was a time when you felt the most passionate about your faith? So you said it was, about a year and a half ago that you felt the most dry, and just jealousy and kind of just insecure. Because of friendships falling apart.
Yes.
So now on the other side, when was a time when you felt the opposite, when you felt the most passionate about your relationship with God, and kind of what led up to that? And then what was that season like? Like, what did you experience in that season of experiencing deep faith?
Yeah. Well, it was the first half of 2019. I'd really kind of describe as my rehab year, quote unquote, from all those insecurities. And three closest people just kind of left, and finding my relationship with God, with me and God, because my entire life before had always been founded in people. And even with crew and just for the years building up to it, it was so much. My relationship with God is great, but a lot of times I felt like I was chasing God because all my friends were, and I found my identity in my friends, and God was just kind of an influence of that. And when that kind of ended, I just kind of dropped it with God.
Did you ever feel pressured to like get close to God? I'm doing air quotes for those of you, like at least pretend to get close to God or convince yourself that you're getting close to God just so that you could keep up with your friends?
Yeah. Some people, I felt like I wasn't like almost holy enough to be around them, and I would have to put on a mask and act like I was so much more
somebody you weren't.
Yeah, somebody I wasn't.
And
like that period in October through January, I feel like that was the only time in my life I was consciously and fully actively running away from God. I wanted nothing to do with him. And once those relationships ended, I kind of got a lot more clear-minded. It was kind of just, like I said, a quote-unquote rehab year, and just building that back up. And going into senior year, I had one goal, and that was by the end of my year, I would either be all in or all out with Christianity, because I was so tired of the phoniness and fake Christianity, not really having God the priority in my life.
Yeah. Do you feel like you see that a lot in Fishers?
I do. Yes.
Like just kind of, I know it's kind of a judgment statement. Like you don't know the hearts of people, but do you feel like when you look around at Fishers High School, you see a lot of people who probably say, oh yeah, I believe in God, but it's not, it doesn't really change them?
Yeah.
Is that what fueled your frustration, or was it more of you felt it in your own life of saying?
I think it was more me feeling it in my own life, and just I'm acting Christian, but God is far from the top priority in my life. And going into senior year, I really wanted to. I'm tired of just being this in this middle ground. I'm either going
Yeah.
to be all in for God or just
This
completely
just-
pull out.
This
not
just
care.
clicked. Do you remember this? This was maybe around that same time when we were at breakfast one time at Chick-fil-A with some of the boys. And I asked you all to rate your relationship with God. And I read this verse out of Revelation that says, it's where God says, be either hot or cold, but because you're lukewarm, I'm going to spit you out of my mouth. Where he's
Yes.
like, I'd rather you be on fire for me or just have nothing to do with me and be convinced of it. But if you're lukewarm, where you're just like, hey, God, I'm going to keep doing my thing, but I think you're real. He's like, I will spit you out of my mouth. And then I asked us all to like describe how hot your cup is
Yeah.
or whatever. That's crazy. I just made that connection. That
Yeah,
I remember that discussion clearly. I remember somebody saying like, I feel like I picked up my cup and I'm walking towards the microwave. Like I want to heat it up, but it's not quite there yet.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was thinking of that too. I just don't want to completely butcher the Bible and like.
Oh no, you're good.
What if I just completely misquoted it and
I paraphrased it, but he says something like that.
yeah,
Be either hot or cold, but if you're lukewarm, I'm going to spit you out of my
Yeah.
mouth. It's in Revelation. Google it if you want the exact reference.
So that's essentially what my mindset was
Yeah,
going
yeah.
into senior year.
Yeah.
And senior year, it was definitely me just kind of taking a hold on my life and sitting down with myself and just realizing, just putting everything into the frame and just
Yeah, yeah.
realizing.
Yeah,
just-
that you gotta make a decision.
I gotta make a
you
decision.
can't keep floating
Yeah, I
half in,
can't.
half out.
Yep, pretty
Yep.
much.
Do you think part of that was fueled by the fact that it was senior year and you were like, I gotta find a path to like go down the rest of my life. I can't keep going through life floating. And I don't know, I wonder if it even tied into like your time in Houston when you were just like moving around, kind of floating, aimless, like who knows what next year holds, who knows.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that was part of it going into senior year? Like I can't just keep floating around saying who knows.
I do.
Like I gotta make a decision on something.
Yeah, I think that was really a huge point in it
Mhm.
because I felt like after high school, my plans for whatever I do moving on with college and whatever would really be dictated by
Yeah.
where my priorities are. And if I'm just going to completely leave God behind and be cold, I mean, that would look completely different than my plans moving forward for actually being
for sure.
all in.
For sure. All right. So now back to the question of what was a time when you felt the most passionate about your faith? So senior
Yeah.
year, you said you started the year saying, I got to make a decision one way or the other.
Yeah.
Then what happened?
It was around September, October of 2019 when I really was plugging in with faith. I had my schedule down to a T. I would go to school, go to work, get off at 6, then go to some sort of youth program. And my schedule was so perfectly timed.
And you're a planner type of person.
Sometimes.
Or maybe not plan, but you're a routine type of person. Is that fair? Where you like to like have stuff. You have to have you like to have a schedule.
I like to
Is
be
that
in
fair?
the know. Yes.
Okay. You
Yeah.
you can disagree if you want.
I like to spice it up sometimes, but
Okay.
I like a framework for where I have flexibility
Got
to get a little creative, but still I need that core frame.
Got it. All right. I was just reading between the lines because I know like with breakfast we would meet at 6:30, and if it's like 6:32, you're like,
Oh my goodness, that annoyed.
we won't go there. We won't go
Okay.
there. Fresh wounds. Okay. All right. So you had your routine to a T, and it was a lot of God stuff.
Yes.
Is that fair?
Yes. And I would say late August, early November, I really came to a point of where I want to go all in. I just have no idea what that would
How?
look like, how to do it. And it was January. Crew, which I was still with through high school, had a getaway called Fast Break.
Some of you know Fast Break.
Yep.
Shout out Fast Break.
Shout out Fast Break.
Where'd you guys go this past year?
Xenia, Ohio.
Ohio. That's right. All right. So you went to Fast Break.
Yes, the greatest city on earth, Xenia, Ohio.
Okay.
And
what happened at Fast Break?
I don't want to credit it specifically to Fast Break. I just feel like that was more of the time frame.
Yeah, for sure.
And I guess I would say I quote unquote figured it out how to go all in.
Uh-huh.
But also it wasn't like, oh, you do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, it wasn't an equation.
It was more of a mental mindset.
Uh-huh.
But also I think the journey to getting there is so important. Like if somebody walked up to me now and asked for like the answers to how you go full in, I would tell them you have to. Yeah. That's a journey you have to take, and it's not just a simple answer.
So correct me if I'm wrong. Would you say that in that weekend at Fast Break, you made maybe a decision that you're going to invest fully in a relationship with Jesus? And you don't always know. It's just like a relationship with a person. Like, you don't know what it means to be best friends with somebody. Like, it's not like an equation like, oh, you have to see each other. You know, you have to text once a day. Like, read your Bible once a day. Or you have to go see them once a week. Go to church once a week. It's not an equation.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
Okay. All right.
I wouldn't fully agree.
Okay. I respect that. That's fine. Yeah. But something changed there where you were like, I'm going to go full in. And I think I know what that means for me.
Yes.
Basically, God called you to the next step.
I agree.
And you heard him speak what it was.
Yeah. Because I remember I was talking to one of the leaders at Crew, and I was saying this was around October. I am at like the edge of the pool, and I know I am as deep as I can possibly go with this relationship I have with God right now. And I'm at the point where I either just need to dive in or walk away. I mean, that definitely goes back to the earlier example, but I knew I was as deep as I could possibly get without going all in. And those months were figuring out what does that look like? How do I do that? And then around the time of Fast Break, I feel like everything clicked.
So what did you experience in that time when things were clicking? And this might not be true for everybody, but just for your experience, what did it feel like? Like, what was your experience like? What part of your life's changed when you felt like you were all in?
Well, it was definitely a process afterwards, just at Fast Break or around that time period of just I just felt so dumb. Like, how can I feel like everything just clicks so perfectly. I'm like, that's the easiest thing. It's like a 6-piece puzzle. I'm like, how did I not figure that out? But it was really great. And once quarantine started, I would say is really when it kind of just took off and started to become...
In a good way?
In a good way.
Okay,
and
cool.
it really just started to become amazing because after Fast Break and through January through March, early March, it was, I'm all in. I truly did believe God and do believe God was the top priority in my life. And I just had so much community. It felt like the honeymoon phase.
Yeah.
And then once quarantine hit, it was even more amazing because I had so much more free time.
Yeah.
I had morning devotionals every morning on Zoom with a few of the Crew guys. Every morning we did that. That helped amazingly, just setting the day into perspective. And with all my free time, I would have the community in the morning, but then I'd be able to actually take that relationship and have it with just me and God throughout the day. And in the past years, that's really what wasn't there. It was my relationship with God was solely founded in people and how we interact.
Yeah.
But now I have the ability.
You can do it on your own.
I can.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so now we've talked about this a decent amount in the past, and I know that you are a very relational person.
Yes.
And we can get into how we all are, but how you specifically are kind of wired that way. So just we're coming towards the end of our time. So maybe just give me a few sentences here on how do the relationships you have with your friends and with family, with people around you, how do the relationships you have affect your faith?
I definitely have, not super well defined. I don't have this ran out, but layers of friendships. And the closest group of friends it's normally the smallest, and they're the ones that impact me the most. And those are the people constantly feeding me in my walk with Christ, and that it's more of we're on mission together and a community. So they pour in, so that way on the outer levels of friendship, it's more of the mission of just talking to them and trying to grow their relationship with God.
Yeah. That's really well said. Would you? It sounds like you're saying like your kind of inner circle, which is, I'm so glad you said it's a small number of people, because I think a lot of us want to be really good friends with everybody.
Yeah.
But it's just not realistic. So your really close friends affect your relationship with God, but then your outer circle, maybe your relationship with God affects them.
Yes.
Does that make sense? I'll say it again. So your closest friends, your closest friends build your relationship with God, but then your more distant friends, your relationship with God builds them up.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I would compare it to almost like a vase where it's you have the lip of the
Mm-hmm.
vase, which is my core friends,
Mm-hmm.
and God pouring into it. And
Mm-hmm.
as water pours in, it's going to touch around the lip, and
Uh-huh.
that's going to be all kind of as one. And then
Yeah,
it would
yeah,
start
yeah.
to overflow past the lip and run down the sides. And the sides would be everyone
Got it.
else.
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome. I like that image. We've all heard like fill up your cup so you can fill up somebody else's and
Well,
stuff. But
this
I
is
like
a vase, so it's completely different.
It's a vase.
Yes. Vase.
I like that. That's really well said. All right. So now I got just 3 more questions for you.
Okay.
All right. We'll do these somewhat rapid fire.
Okay.
So you're 18. You graduated. Well, you know, we talked about that.
Yeah.
You've graduated by now. What?
Hopefully.
And skydived. Is it skydived or skydove?
Sky Dove.
What can you do to make sure that your faith sticks with you as you transition into adulthood, when it's not at your school, when it's not, oh, I go to this church because this is the church my family goes to? What can you do?
Yeah, I think it should be top priority finding ways to get plugged in, because school is kind of handed to you. It's where go to crew, go to youth group.
Yep.
But you have to be so much more intentional about that the older you get, and be intentional about that and start it early. Because if you don't start early, you're always just gonna be like, oh, I want this vision at the end of the year, but you don't start on it till November.
Right. Yeah.
And also finding that time, setting time aside specifically for one-on-one time with God.
Yeah.
Because it's not a relationship with God if it's just found in everybody. It's like,
Yep.
it's kind of like my
It's
best friend's
spectating.
girlfriend.
Yeah, it's like spectating God
Yeah.
through other people rather
Yeah,
than knowing
it's not.
him.
It's not my personal relationship with him. It's the group's relationship with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's I totally understand.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people relate to that. That's really good wisdom right there. Okay, I've got two kind of far-fetched questions.
Okay,
Go back 5 years. So 13-year-old Jeremy.
it's pretty far.
What advice would you give to 13-year-old Jeremy?
I don't know, because I don't want to. Sorry.
No, you're good.
I don't want
No, you're
to.
good.
A lot of times when I hear this question, I take it as what would you change, but I wouldn't want to change anything, because it's like even the harder times I can still appreciate, and I think I'd use those. But I guess I would say
maybe here, let me ask you this.
Okay.
What lessons would you warn 13-year-old Jeremy are coming?
okay.
Is that a better question?
Yes.
Okay.
Find your relationship with God outside of people. That or I would say make it a little more universal. You are not defined by other people. And
Ooh.
if you don't have it
that's so good.
alone, you don't actually have it with anybody.
Can you say that again? I'm gonna record that and put that on everything. Say that again.
Are we not recording?
No, we are, but I'm gonna
my
put that
goodness.
little clip on everything.
What did I say?
You said you're not defined by people.
I'm not defined by people.
Yes.
Is
Nice.
that okay?
Yeah, no, that was good. Oh, that's so good. Okay,
Yeah.
now the last question, and we're gonna wrap up. The opposite of that. Think of what's 18 plus 5? 23-year-old Jeremy. What kind of a person do you hope to be in 5 years? When you're 23, what kind of person do you hope to be?
It's easy to think like materialistically and situationally. Like I want a house and like I'd like a committed relationship. But I want to be somebody that's always searching and never satisfied with where I am with God. I don't want to be satisfied with where I am. I always want to be continuously growing deeper and constantly searching for more intimate relationship with God.
Oh, that's so good. Have you ever read the Chronicles of Narnia books? Or you at least know
I saw
that?
the movies.
I've never seen the movies. I heard they're bad.
They're not that good.
Okay. the last book, the last battle, the final book. It's like it's spoiler alert. It's like he wrote these like 70 years ago. So if you haven't read it by now, 70.
Oh,
I think he wrote them in like the 60s, 50s.
I wasn't born.
Neither was I. So the last book, the last battle, it's basically like his vision of heaven when we get to heaven. And there's this phrase that they say all the time, and it's further up, further in. And it's like heaven is a physical place, and they're running further up, further in. And they get there, and they're like, oh my gosh, I've never seen God in this way. Like, this is amazing. Let's just sit here and enjoy this. And then there's somebody that's like, no, further up, further in. There's more. And they're running, and they're like, oh, this is the best. Like, let's just sit here. I'm totally satisfied. But then there's somebody who's like, further up, further in, further up, further in. And it's like never ending. That's kind of what I hear you saying. Like, you always want to be going further up, further in. Even if you're like living the dream and everything's great, further up, further in, there's more. There's more. Is that fair?
That is very fair.
Sorry, I took that and ran with it because I just finished that book a few months ago.
That was great, yeah.
I just finished that book a few months ago, so it's fresh. Awesome. Jeremy, is there anything else you wanted to add to wrap up?
No.
You nailed it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing with us your journey. We are glad that you chose to move to Indiana.
Yeah.
God's chosen land.
Pretty good. Yeah.
That was...
I'd like to change my answer.
That was
for
heretical.
That earlier question.
Okay.
I think Indiana is better than Texas.
Okay. I like that. We were able to change your mind. You changed your own mind.
Yeah.
All right, Jeremy, we love you. We're really thankful that you're part of our ministry. And, yeah, I love seeing God work in your life, and I'm excited to see it continue. Further up, further in. All right. Peace.
Peace.